Hey guys, if you don't know me already, my name is Yona Night Wisdom. I'm a three-time Olympic diver and I've had an amazing career. But now I'm retired, I want to reflect on my journey, my experiences, and the lessons from all the highs and lows. This series will be all about high performance and what I did to fulfill my potential. So I'll be sharing stories and hopefully talking to some guests. This is possible thanks to my incredible sponsor, Budgie Smuggler. Check out the link below for 20% off store-wide. Let's get into it. Positivity for me is so key. It gives you energy on the days where you don't feel at your best. And for me, it really lifted me in my diving career. You know, I always leaned on positivity. I always leaned on feeling good about something, even if there's negativity kind of around what I did. Like, feeling good about something just helped me get through those difficult training days. It helped me get through those dark winter months. Seasonal affective disorder is not something I've been diagnosed with, but probably have it because those winter times, sometimes when I was training, it was tough. But there was always like a light. There was always something good about the day, and that just really helped me chip away each day so that when it came to the competition time, I was prepared, I was ready to go, and I felt good. I felt good about something. And honestly, even if I had like a bad result, there was still something to be positive about, so I could bounce back and find ways to improve for the next competition. And by the time I got to the most important one, I felt good and I felt ready. I remember one of my toughest points was when I was growing, and I was around 14 or 15 years old, and I had like a major growth spurt in a short period of time. And with that, because of the impact that I was going through with diving, I developed Osgood-Schlatter's disease in my knees. And it was a tough one because it didn't stop me training. It just restricted what I could do. So, I'd be sat on poolside watching my friends train when I had to get out early to ice my knee, and I'd be in pain at school. I'd be in pain just sitting in the car because like having my knee just not moving made it really stiff. And that was tough because I just could never quite feel at my best. And that was the time when I was trying to get into like British programs, British teams. I was trying to show that I was good. And it was really tough because I just felt jealous of my friends. But I was able to kind of turn that jealousy into like a fuel for the fire and really push me forward. So I was able to find, a positive twist in that respect. But that was a tough point because it made me question my future in diving on a number of occasions. And I never saw myself not diving, but I couldn't quite justify it when I couldn't fully train. So yeah, it took some real patience to get out of that. But the sport can be cruel sometimes, but it can also be really generous. And at a young age, going through that issue showed me that perseverance can get me through. And there's always a light at the end of the tunnel eventually if you keep on chipping away. A little bit older, a little bit later in my career, I suffered like my first serious injury, and arguably it was a better injury because I ruptured the rectus femoris tendon in my left knee. I say it's arguably better because it was like very clear cut that I couldn't train, and I had to go through this period of rehab to get back to the highest level. Whereas the one that I experienced when I was younger, it was, I could do bits. It wasn't as clear. Like, I wasn't sure what I could do and what I couldn't do. This injury with the rectus femoris tendon, it allowed me to just like completely stop, take a step back from everything, reflect, review, and take a new approach to my training. I remember immediately when it happened, I was preparing for a competition in Edinburgh where I was training at the time. I was feeling good. I'd just come off the back of my most successful season, or the season where I feel like I reached my peak. And I was really excited about the season ahead. It was coming up to the Olympic qualification time for Paris. And I was just looking forward to smashing it as much as possible. But then in prep for the competition, I had a knee buckle where my knees just gave way on the springboard. And in the moment, obviously I was concerned about the future, but I was almost glad for it because it allowed me to just look at my career from a different perspective. And as I was going through the rehab, I was really able to appreciate the small moments, the small wins. I remember on Christmas Day, just a few weeks after having the surgery, I was literally able to lift my leg off the floor for the first time. And the joy that created was like unmatched. You know, I've never felt anything so fulfilling after such a small victory, literally lifting my leg off the floor. It was funny. That allowed me to just really take each day step by step, appreciate the small wins, and really enjoy kind of what I did. And honestly, I think it was the best thing that happened to me. Fortunately, it was on the tendon, not on the ACL, which might have been a more difficult process back to full fitness. But I got surgery 3 days after the injury. I was in the pool after 2 months. I competed again after 5 months. And then I could really zone in on key milestones to get back to where I needed to be. And, it was all about the approach that I took. I was at the pool every single day still, just working on rehab, communicating with the other divers, watching people train. So I stayed like mentally locked in, and I never took it negatively. I think it's quite unique in a situation like that when you experience your first ever injury just before you try and qualify for your third Olympic Games. I think that's very unique, and it was something I reflect on, and it's something I'm grateful for at this point. Preparing for Paris was like a tough one because I had the experience, I had the skills, I knew I could dive well. But what I was lacking kind of going into the games was the belief in myself and the belief that I could bring it out, and I needed to bring it out. The pressure of the qualification event, I'll put this into perspective. In Doha, it was our last opportunity to qualify. In my prelim, we had 70 divers. At the Olympics, only 25 divers competed. So that's almost just over a third of that competition actually went to the games. And you have to do 6 dives. You're pretty much waiting about an hour between each dive. And you know that when you get on the board, you have that one opportunity to do it well. Because if you make one mistake, then you're out and your pursuit of the games is kind of done. The hardest thing about that is the months beforehand, you know the circumstances, and you're just going through different scenarios in your head, like imagining what's going to happen and what the outcome's going to be, whether you're going to be on the good side or whether you're going to be on the bad side, and whether you're going to make it or not, or how you feel in those circumstances. And that can get a lot on the brain. But the gratitude that I felt from the quick recovery from the knee injury, but also my feeling throughout that whole process, I felt like I had nothing to lose. So for me, training was all just about slowly chipping away and improving my belief, improving my confidence, having fun, just enjoying having the ability to dive, because it was so nearly taken away from me in one quick moment. And that really just fueled my approach to training every single day. That made me make sure that I could look back and have no regrets over the preparation, because I really put everything into it. And that's all you can ask for, because whether I make it or not in the circumstances of the competition of that prelim, it doesn't define whether you're a good diver or not. It just defines kind of who had a good day and who had a bad day. But I think because I was so comfortable with the effort and the prep that I had put in, that I could somewhat relax. I didn't feel too much pressure. I knew that if I just did my normal process, I'd be able to get enough to be close. And if that wasn't good enough, then so be it. So that was really helpful for the mindset in terms of the day-to-day in the approach to Paris. I mean, my parents are immigrants to the UK. My mum is from Barbados. My dad is from Jamaica. They both came here for the pursuit of opportunity. You know, my dad's, as he told me, the Windrush generation. He was just after the Windrush generation, but you know, they got sold stories of the streets being paved with gold, and that convinced them to come over. And when they got here, they realized that was not the case, and they had to really graft to figure it out and make any sort of living. They didn't have generational wealth. They didn't have the support of elders and things like that to guide them. My dad was quite lucky because I think he had some family over here when he did move. But, when he was here, when he went to school, he was like the one black kid at school. And that's kind of somewhat parallel to my journey, because when I went to my school, I was one of 3 black kids in my year, because of the school that I went to. And when you're in that situation, you always feel like a step behind. And my parents always drilled it into me that I have to work twice as hard. I have to give twice as much to get the same opportunities. I really embraced that approach to everything. And I've really tried to give my all, more than the people around me, to make sure that I just get the same opportunities. My dad ran a coach company in Leeds for 36 years. And it went through its highs and lows. It had a bankruptcy, it had some serious issues, but he managed to make it work. And that was just his positive approach and his genuine love for what he did. My mum, when she came from Barbados, she went around Africa doing missionary work for the churches, and then ended up settling in the UK, made a group of friends, and she's managed to get herself into this really prosperous position where they were able to send me to a private school. Lord knows how they managed to afford that. And I was just really grateful for that. I could see the positive approach that they took to their lives each day. They were always striving for more. And especially when I came along, they pushed me to strive for more. And I've just carried that approach through diving, through school, through education. I've done uni. I keep doing other qualifications. I like learning as much as I can because it's really important to me. And they're the values that my parents instilled into me from a young age. Without that, well, who knows? But based on the area that I grew up in, Leeds, not many people kind of make it out to really high level achievements. We've got a few footballers from our area who've done well, got a few artists, and the community really supports that. But to step out of it into a different world is really tough. And they made that happen to me from the start, based on the school that they sent me to, based on the opportunity they created by sending me to diving. Again, more money. I don't know where they got the money from to pay for my training, to pay for my competitions, the travel, everything. Going away to Barcelona, to Canada, on top of my school. Honestly, I have no idea. But I really got it, and I really appreciated it, and I was really grateful for it. And the only way that I felt I could pay them back is by becoming successful somehow. And the only way I could become successful is by working hard and appreciating everything I got. So that's what I did, and here I am today. So for them, I'm extremely grateful. A message for anyone struggling or going through a difficult time is just be patient and try to keep on doing good things. Because, I don't know if I believe in karma, but I do believe that if you give good, you get good. Especially when you're going through a negativity or a negative period, a difficult period, it's really hard to reflect that negativity on people around you. No matter what difficult period I go through, I still try and be positive. I still try and find something good. There's always something good to pick away from a situation. And if there's nothing good, just take it as a lesson. You learn something. It's character building, it's growth, it's progression, it's moving forward. That's all that life's about. It's just taking a step forward each day. When I'd go to different international competitions in the years in between the Olympics, it wasn't about performing well. It was just about learning what it took to perform at that level. And I had some really tough ones, some really, really bad ones. Some of those really could have made me, lose faith in my ability, lose faith in the guidance that I had. But I had to trust the process and trust that in the bigger picture, I was moving forwards, because in the moment it's sometimes hard to see that. So take a step back, take advice from others, look from a different perspective, and kind of be grateful for the opportunities that we do have. Because here in the UK, if you look around the world, people have it tough. So be grateful for what you've got, and that will help you move forward with positivity.